In this society, women are allowed to have standards. Men are not. That's just the way it is now. So we can only voice we can voice our standards online or in public and get ridiculed, killed as men, or we can just say it amongst each other or keep it on the inside. In the previous video, I think I did something about how women are the true bullies. So it kind of ties into that, but this is still a separate video. But do you ever notice how a woman is allowed to say, and they love talking about double standards, but they never complain about the ones that benefit them. So let's say, for example, a woman will say like, okay, I prefer a guy who's over 6 feet tall or much taller than me because of heels or whatever it is, which heels, they don't have to wear heels. That's just something they choose to do. And they're applauded. Like, there you go. You have standards, girl. But if a guy says, hey, I want a woman under a certain weight or under a certain BMI for her body, he's called misogynistic. You don't own a woman's body, and who are you to talk about a woman's body? And there's, look at you, you're not all that, you're not in shape, and what's wrong with you? Some women can't help their weight, but at the same time, they don't care that no man virtually can help their height, unless you're one of those guys that let women get to you that bad that you broke your legs and stretched them out to make yourself taller. I'm sure you've seen those stories. Another example is they say things like, okay, I want a guy who makes $1 million a year or $500,000 a year, and I won't accept anything less than that. When in reality, yes, we know they're still sleeping with men who make less than that. They're just saying that on camera or online towards the guys they don't find physically or sexually attractive. But if a man, God forbid, is like, you know what, and then let's even say like, getting $1 million a year isn't easy. Yes, there's some people that are doing it, but it's a small percentage of men. So that's not something easily attainable. But if a guy, God forbid, is like, you know what, I want a woman who slept with less than 5 guys, preferably a virgin, but less than 5 guys, immediately he's called a misogynist, or he's called insecure, because it's like, oh, you don't think you can measure up to the other guys and this and that? It's like, who wants to have to measure up to that many other guys? It's insane. I'm trying to think of another example. Like, so they'll talk about height, and they'll talk about how much money the guy makes, also status. They're like, oh, I want a guy who's, known all over town and all this other kind of stuff, because they want to be able to get in clubs for free, or they want to be seen with a guy that everyone else knows or other girls want, so it makes them look good. Even then, having status as a man isn't that easy. Some guys have status because they play sports, or they have a lot of money, or their family comes from money, or they've started some sort of business where everyone wants to be rubbing elbows with them or whatever it is. But even then, that's not that easy. Most of the things that a woman asks for is always something that's very, very hard to get, which is why, they call it the top 1%, top 10% of guys are being chased by 80% of women. Because of that. It's just the way women were designed. But most of the things a man asks for is completely in a woman's control and something that she can easily do. It's like, you don't have to sleep with a bunch of guys unless a guy's forcing you. And even then, try not to put yourself in positions like that. Anyway, because, my personal observation or my thought process is like, when I hear the R word, and you know what I mean when I say the R word, I think of a woman innocently walking to a library, somewhere that she's supposed to be, checking the mail, and then some crazy dude pops out with a knife and says, get behind the bushes, and forces her. Not the whole a woman being out at 2 a.m. anyway in the first place, scantily dressed, being somewhere she's not supposed to be, being around dudes, and then going to a guy's house, and then things end up happening, and then she regrets it later and says, oh, But anyways, that's a topic for another video as well, too. I'm not taking away from situations that actually happen where it's, the woman wasn't any putting herself in any position like that for that to happen, and if someone just took advantage of her, that's completely different. But yeah, man, it's like, you either got to keep your standards to yourself, talk about it amongst other men, or be prepared to get ridiculed or fired from your job if God forbid you say anything about, like, you know what, I don't want a woman with cankles. Now that's different. Like, if a dude's like, I don't want a woman with cankles to wear like something she can't help, that's kind of different. But it's reasonable for a man to say, hey, I want a woman under a certain weight. I prefer if she doesn't have a bunch of dudes that she slept with already. I'd like her to be pleasant and all these other things, like act feminine and want to raise a family under God and, whatever. Like, those are all things for free that literally almost any woman can do. I know some women are just built a certain way that even if they lose all the fat in their body, they're just gonna have a masculine shape, or they're gonna be a certain size or whatever. But almost everything a man asks for is free, and women don't want to do that. It's nuts. Keep your standards high, fellas. Just because these women are trying to punk you into changing yours, don't fall for it. Over and out.